am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today, I have my special guest. He's the number one and expensive ghost writer in the world. And of course, best-selling author too. No other than Mr. Joshua Lisec.
Hello, Daniel. Thanks for having me on. Glad to be here.
Okay, Mr. Joshua, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, everyone. So, as Daniel was saying, I'm a professional ghost writer. I've ghostwritten 83 full length nonfiction books over the last 12 years. And if you do the math on the average there, I'm a bit of a machine. I am very much a systems oriented, process driven kind of guy. And I tell all inside of my book, so good they call you a fake. And the irony of the title, of course, is that many people over the years, upon hearing the claim someone has ghostwritten more than 80 books and he's only 32 years old, they say, no way, that's fake. What a liar. And of course, the point is that in today's day and age, where anyone can put up a website, write a book, start a business, try to get some attention, because of the sheer number of competitors now in any space, in any niche, in any industry, it's more important than ever to distinguish yourself, to elevate yourself. And so now it's not good enough to be so good they can't ignore you, because everyone is now. You must become so good they call you a fake, because it's the negative attention, the critics, the trolls, and the haters who quote unquote call you out. They bring the masses to you. And so, for example, when there are people who say there's no way Joshua wrote this many books, all of his claims are a lie. Look, his earnings, his invoices, obviously photoshopped. Look. And then they do a little conspiracy theory about me and my success. True story, by the way. That's a thing. Then there are people who say, wow, this guy's getting a lot of attention. Actually, that doesn't look photoshopped. It looks pretty real to me. And so it's a matter of real recognizing real. And so that's the gist of the book. And that's a bit of what I'm about. I'm all about following systems that create predictable results that are so good, they'll call you a fake.
Congratulations, Mr. Joshua. So, can you tell us the process of ghostwriting?
Yes, some people think that ghostwriting for authors is the author tells a freelancer, hey, I want to write a book on this topic. So go write a book and I'll put my name on it and pay you for that. There are some agencies in New York City, LA, and London that function that way. There are, in fact, quite a few agencies for ghostwriters in New York, LA, and London that function that way. However, I don't do those projects, or at least not anymore.
Oh,
Nowadays, what a usual ghostwriter and author relationship looks like is a series of interviews. So, all of these stories, the claims, the insights, and the experiences and methods come directly from the author. So, really, what the ghostwriter is there for is to be an interpreter, a compiler, a documenter, and a flesher outer who's there to flesh out the author's ideas on the page and turn otherwise, frankly, incoherent ramblings into the best way to say it in print. And that's what I do.
what age did you realize that you're good in ghostwriting?
It happened completely by accident, Daniel. My dream and ambition as a child was to one day become like one of the great American novelists. And so I seemed to be out to a pretty good start when I was 20 years old and got a two-book publishing deal from a small independent press. And then something interesting happened. As I'm out marketing my books, signing copies, taking selfies on flip phones back when you had to turn the whole phone around and the picture would be off center because that was the days before easy selfies. Two of my readers of my novels, independently of one another, had the exact same request. which was, Joshua, I've wanted to write a book longer than you've been alive. Can you help me write my book? Now, here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. They didn't want to write fiction. They wanted to write their autobiographies, but they wanted it to be as interesting as a novel, meaning there would be characters and dialogue and back and forth and setting descriptions, so on and so forth. So it was like the author was the protagonist. It was the main character in the story. And I said, okay, fine, sure, I'll help you with your book. And I've been saying, okay, fine, sure, I'll help you with your book ever since. That was 12 years ago.
What is your long-term and short-term goals in writing?
Yeah, so it's interesting that both of them are similar in that I want to write more works under my own name. So maybe I will get to 100 ghost-written books, the great 3 digits there. But I'm already working on my next nonfiction book that I'll author under my own name. So that's the short term. And then the long term is more and more ghost-written books that I write, I will have my name on them. So it will say the author's name with Joshua Lisec. And the with indicates that I was the writing partner, I was the co-author on that project. And that's been an interesting transition for me that most ghost writers don't have. Most ghost writers stay in the background completely, forever, with non-disclosure agreements. However, in my situation, because I will not call myself an influencer. I'm more like a micro niche influencer light. Would be a little bit more accurate.
Okay.
But there are certain people who know me, who know my work and who love my work and want me to write their book and want it to be known that I wrote their book so that it will sell more copies on the strength of my name and my personal brand as a micro niche influencer light in the writing and the publishing and other spaces. And so that's the short and long term. They're similar to one to another, but there will be more works with the Joshua Lisec name associated with it.
Very well said, Mr. Joshua. So let's talk about artificial intelligence nowadays because it's a big issue for all of us, especially in publishing world.
Yes. So what is interesting is that 10 months now into the mainstream use of artificial intelligence, writing tools, editing tools, generative AI, what we are finding is that at least 99% of ghostwriters, at least 99%, are out of work. At least 99%, or they soon will be, because you may have heard the expression that if you want work done, you can get it good, fast, or cheap. Pick two. However, generative AI is all three. It is fast, it is cheap or free in many cases, less than $20 a month, and of course, it is good enough in most use cases. Note it, Daniel, that most ghost writers write not books, but marketing emails, sales pages, social media posts, white papers, that sort of thing, and maybe the occasional ebook, right? Well, the thing about generative AI is that it is good enough to do all of that for the client, be it a CEO or business professional or what have you. So what we're already seeing is a transition from the ghostwriter as the most skilled writing professional, because ghostwriters are soon to be entirely out of business, and a transition to professional editors who understand prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is this rather new art and very young science of communicating with the generative AI in order to get the right answers. The better your input, the better the output. Garbage in, garbage out, greatness in, greatness out. And so the most valuable skill set in terms of writing in the future is in fact the editing skill set together with the prompt engineering skill set.
So, Mr. Joshua, what are the pros and cons of AI?
The pros of AI is that it is, as I said, good enough, fast, and cheap, or even free. So in most use cases, there is no reason for a ghostwriter anymore, even for a lot of books, especially for one's autobiography or memoir. There's absolutely no reason to not use a low cost or even free a generative AI to help with that process. So what you do is you just simply record yourself talking out loud. You grab the transcript of that conversation, or just self-talk, record voice recording on your device. Throw the transcript into a tool like either pseudo-write, which is one of my favorites, or of course ChatGPT, or the GPT-4 platform that they use, and ask it to very slightly edit your transcript, and there you go. You've got yourself everything you need for your memoir chapter. Done. The ghostwriting profession its days are numbered, and the days are in the single digits at this point, in my professional opinion. Now, the cons of AI is that it still is going to be a time investment to work with it. I mentioned a few moments ago the necessity of prompt engineers / editors in the content creation space. Editors competent and capable editors, be they editors for books, editors for short form content, as well as this sort of understanding of what makes for good prompt engineering, stringing together prompts, how to make an AI write like the voice of someone else, or base their output on an existing corpus or a body of work. That's going to have great value. So ghostwriters who are unwilling to pivot are going to be out of work if they aren't already, and many are, or they are going to pivot to learning AI, to stop being afraid of these AI tools, and focusing and honing in on editing, or they are done for.
So, Mr. Joshua, do you think AI is a good invention for humanity?
Yes, I do. And the reason that I do is because it's not new in terms of a type of invention. The most valuable asset that we have is time, because it's the most precious. It's the least renewable. In fact, it's 100% non-renewable. Time. And if we look at technologies, be they transportation or communication or anything else, what they do is take a process that takes tremendous effort and much time, and they make it short. Where are you calling in right now? Where are you recording from, Daniel, right now in the world?
In Vancouver, British
Okay.
Columbia.
Yes. So you're in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is on Pacific time. I am in the Midwestern United States. 200 years ago, for Vancouver, British Columbia, and Southwest Ohio, two people, one each in those places, 200 years ago, for the two of those people to have a conversation would take weeks for that to happen, face to face or voice to voice. You and I are talking live, real time, 3 time zones apart, live together, and all I had to do was open the computer and click the link you sent me. AI is like that for research, for first draft creation, and more. Now, there's still the editing that needs to be involved. Like I said, there's still the prompt engineering. You and I still have to be able to speak the same language, right? So there's still something that's required for it to be a productive conversation. There's still effort and time to invest in a first rough draft generated by AI to be something that's worth publishing. But to get to a first draft, to get to a voice-to-voice meeting, you and I here, the technology has eliminated a vast majority of the time that it took for it to happen. So AI, people say, oh, it's unprecedented. It's going to make all these changes. No. It is an invention like all of the inventions that we have valued in the past. What we just need to ensure is that it remains as accessible to as many individuals as possible. So the prevention of monopolies, oligopolies, especially those protected by governmental or paragovernmental bodies nationally and internationally, protecting it from both corporate and nationally, let's say, government meddling is going to be essential. In the same way that protecting a free and open internet. We didn't really have a free and open internet, but that makes my case for having a free and open artificial intelligence as much as possible.
Very well said, Mr. Joshua. But before we go on, I want to shout out to the people listening in the United States, especially in the state of Ohio. Thank you so much, Ohio. I have 50 places in Ohio, but I want to name 10 of them. Cincinnati at 21%, Columbus at 16%, Akron at 10%, Cleveland at 5%, Dayton at 10%, Toledo at 3%, Strongville at 3%, Stowe at 3%, Dina at 2%, and a lot more. Thank you, Ohio, for supporting this podcast because this podcast is created to empower writers all over the world, like Mr. Joshua Lisec. So, Mr. Joshua, congratulations for your selling book. So good they call you fake.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been fun to see the success of the book and the reception. It's generated business, which is the point of all the books that I write. So people will read the book and they will find out about the other courses that I mention inside of the book, and then they will go and buy those courses. Or they'll find out about my services, and then they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, Joshua, I loved your book, read it. Can I hire you to work with me on my project?" And so that's the exact template that I advise all of my clients to follow, where they write a book that is purchasable for 15, 20, 25, or $30. And by marketing the book, they not just, of course, sell copies of the book to readers, but they then upsell those readers into other courses and programs and offers that they have and one-on-one services. So it becomes a fantastic door opener and sales qualified lead generator and even sales closer, so that when the author is having a sales conversation, and this is critical, this is the most critical thing around authorship that makes authorship a return on investment activity. The point to be made here is that so often salespeople, be they the owner of the company or a salesperson working at the company, they find themselves often talking to pseudo prospects or inauthentic prospects, where really what the prospect is there to do is to do product research. They're not serious about making a buying decision, but they ask lots of questions that make it sound like they are. And then they'll say, "Okay, I'll get back with you. Yeah, maybe this sounds good. Yeah, send me the proposal."
Yes.
All of those responses, of course, are lies. And they are polite ways to say, "Actually, I'm just pumping you for free consulting and advice, and I'm going to go buy from somebody who's cheaper." What authorship does is it attracts to you prospects who are, in fact, not simply qualified and able to work with you, but ready to work with you. Where they say, "Hey, I've read your book. I get it. I want you to do for me and my family, my business, my organization, myself, what you talk about inside of this book. I'm ready. I just need to know what the terms are." That is the great benefit of authorship. Not everyone will understand what I just said, but those who have an ear to hear, I hope you listen.
Definitely. And according to Amazon US, you are number 9 in public relations, number 22 in the market research business, and number 57 in public relations. Again, congratulations, Mr. Joshua. And according to Clint Noland, your second essential read for an online business. So, what are the elements of the book that you put into it that make your readers glued to it?
Yes, yes. So what I tell authors and aspiring authors is that context is more important than content. So the content is what the message of your book is. "Hey, I'm going to teach you this method to lose 10 pounds in 7 days," or "Hey, I'm going to teach you this new technique for hypnotherapy," or "Hey, my book is about this big, exciting current event and my insights into it and what it means for your industry." That's the content. The context is, why do I want to read this content? What is in it for me? So the context is more important than the content. Why you want to read something is more important than what it is that it actually says that you will be reading. And the reason is 92% of book sales are attributable to word of mouth marketing. So in order to get as many book sales as possible, we realize we need to get people talking about the book. And in order to get people talking about the book, we need them to have read the book. Anywhere, it depends on what source you look at, but only between 17 and 40% of readers of all books actually finish the book that they've started, which means people who are buying the book, because they're not reading much of it, they're not going to be word of mouth marketers, because the percentage of the book that you read, the higher percentage of the book you read is going to be correlated with you talking about how great it was because you just finished the book or you are finishing the book. Does that all make sense?
Makes sense, Mr. Joshua. And according to Mr. Team Champion, a masterclass on creating and demand authority as an expert. Mr. Joshua, what are the things you want to share to us as an example of demand authority or in demand authority?
Yes. So the concept of becoming so good they call you a fake is closely tied with becoming an in-demand authority. So the authority is the top dog, the big cheese, the head honcho, the go-to person in your industry, your niche, your network, what have you. And the idea is that by having results for yourself and your own life, your own business, and for those of your clients and your customers that are that they look cartoonishly fake, that oh, there's no way that was possible. I can, like this guy 32 years old and wrote 80 books. Yeah, obviously not. What a liar. Total fake. And of course, by people saying that, I got to get attention. By getting attention, I get influence. And the influence goes like this. Joshua is so good at writing books that people can't believe he actually wrote that many. That is authority. And so insert your industry equivalent for that. And that is what the book teaches you how to do, is to design offers in the forms of product and services that people can buy that get them unbelievable results that they talk about, that haters hear about, that online critics and anonymous trolls and even envious competitors and naysayers and skeptics look at, and they come up with little conspiracy theories about how it's impossible that you have actually done what you claim to have. That's how you know when you've made it. And that's what my book teaches you how to do.
Very well said, Mr. Joshua. So, why did you choose Mona Lisa as your cover book?
Yes. So the cover of the book, So Good They Call You a Fake, is the famous painting, the Mona Lisa, this great masterpiece. However, on the Mona Lisa's face, I have superimposed these little Groucho Marx disguise glasses that are often used as a practical joke, as a silly disguise, kind of make somebody look fake, right? And so I
Yes.
said a few moments ago that you want to become cartoonishly fake in order to command the attention and get the influence that you want so that you can create the business opportunities that you want. And so the cover is symbolic of the message of the book. So people will take a glance at the book cover and they will do a double take and say, wait a second, that looks like the Mona Lisa. It does, but it's not. It's like some fake thing. But I have to look closer. And then you realize it's a cartoonishly fake disguise over the Mona Lisa. So what is otherwise, a well-known, almost ordinary masterpiece, your attention is commanded by what looks to be a cartoonishly fake disguise. And that is the message of the book, is to create results for yourself in your life, for your clients, for your customers, in your business that make people do a double take because it looks cartoonishly fake. Like when I say I've written this many books and I'm this age, or there was a client I had a number of years ago that it was a wooden chess set product. They wanted to do a crowdfunding campaign of $6,000 to fund their crowdfund campaign in order to be able to create the sets. Well, I wrote the marketing materials for that, and they did $2 million in crowdfunding for a $6,000 goal. And when I tell the story of that experience and that product, invariably what happens is people come up with a conspiracy theory. Oh, there's no way he did this. He's making this up. He's lying. Obviously, this isn't true. There's no way he did it. And so that's the sort of result that gets people's attention. They jump in and they say, whoa, I need to learn more about this guy. Everyone's saying he's fake, but it looks pretty real to me. And that's how I get the attention that I want.
Wow, interesting, Mr. Joshua. What inspired you to write so good they call you fake?
When I thought about all of the clients that I had over the years, the ones that have done the best with their books, and I talk about this in the opening chapters of the book. So a ghostwriter is supposed to write a book about writing books. But I did not want to do what I was supposed to do as a professional. I wanted to do something that was interesting, that was exciting, and that was above all useful. And so this book's message is based on what I have seen work from many of my own author clients, where when their book that I wrote for them is published and it gets promoted and it builds credibility and it gains notoriety to and for the author gets hate mail. They get accusers. Oh, there's no way you did this. It's totally fake. Obviously, this person should lose their credentials. I've even had a couple of people put on so-called hate lists and watch lists because the results have been so successful. It's hilarious and it's a true story and it's all in so good they call you a fake.
Oh my goodness. So what challenges did you face while you're writing so good they call you fake?
In this case, for me, writing this book, there weren't any, let's say, creativity challenges. It was simply a matter of the fact that I write so many books generally, so I had very little time. And I have children, and our most recent child had just been born after I was a couple of chapters into it. So it was an interesting adventure to try to find a way to finish the book. We'll put it that way.
Congratulations for a new baby. So what's your daily writing routine like?
It's a lot different than what most people expect it is. So my daily writing routine, some days, so like today, it began at about 5:25 a.m. local time. Other times, I am staying up until 3 a.m. local time. So what I have found is rather than a routine, is I simply write when I'm able to muster the most energy, and my schedule allows for it, and it allows for that energy. So it's less than a set time and more so go with the flow of where my energy is and when it is.
Yes. So can you share a memorable reader feedback or interaction that had a significant impact on you?
Yes. And it's talked about in the book, but I'll briefly. Is it okay if it's one that's relatively recent?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So last December 2022, at the time of this recording, for a weekend, I was the number one story in the world, me personally. I pulled up the news headlines on a Sunday morning on my regular news app that I check, and it was me. I was the story. 2 days prior, I had written a thread on a media and entertainment opinion that I have and that I share with a lot of people. And it took several hours to write this thread, in which I published it on Twitter. And it caught on. It was popular. It went viral. And then people who vehemently disagree with it found it. And they took it from about 100,000 views to 13 million views. So when I say haters are your most valuable marketers, that is a claim that is based on my own firsthand experiences. People who hated that thread and frankly hated me for it. I even got credible death threats over this, Daniel, over this entertainment Subject, thread. Absolutely absurd. And I think of the top 10 stories that were trending that weekend on Twitter, I was 8 of them. It was frankly, it was ridiculous. And of course I showed all of this stuff to my wife, and she said, I can't believe people care this much about you know about meaningless things. And yet that was the case. And in the process of going viral, of course, there were several mainstream publications and actual news that covered me and covered the story. And what was funny is that the news stories said things like Joshua Lisec said, and then Joshua Lisec believes, followed by something I did not say and something I did not believe, which was interesting because so often we see the news covering public figures. And some of those public figures will say, oh, the news is fake and they're lying about me and it's biased, blah, blah, blah. Well, here is a professional ghostwriter, not a politician. He ghostwrites for celebrities, but he's not a celebrity himself. Here is this person who is being lied about, and slandered, defamed, and even outright canceled in and by the mainstream United States and even global press. That was my experience last December. And that is, in fact, what happened. Now, when So Good They Call You a Fake came out, I witnessed this again. When Publishers Weekly published a scathing review of my book, So Good They Call You a Fake, and they claimed that I said several things in the book and implied several things, which I, of course, did not. And then there was a regional newspaper in Southwest Ohio, which got basic facts wrong. Not like forgetting numbers and dates, but very basic facts, like hallucinated things. And so when public figures accuse the news of being fake, in this case of So Good They Call You a Fake, in this context, it would be an authentic fake, meaning it really is fake. It really is deceitful and deceptive. That is in fact the case. So I tell people, every story you read in the news, assume it's false. That is the best operating system now for interpreting the news. If it says, the president of such and such nation said this, your first response ought to be, oh, they probably didn't. If they say the prime minister of such and such country believes, then okay, they probably don't. And that's across the board for everything. And that's based on my own experiences, not even as a politician or celebrity or statesman or any such, let's say, sort of Hollywood type of character, which I'm not. And yet the news about me is fake. And in this case, with So Good They Call You Fake, it's an authentically fake news.
Very well said, Mr. Joshua. But before we go on, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, Food 101, our third season with Chef Alessandro, one of the best executive chef in one of the best restaurants in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We talk about Thanksgiving, people. Thanksgiving, because in Canada we celebrate Thanksgiving on the 9th of October. So please do listen. Food 101 plus one more. Our books are out, not only one but 7 volumes, people. Food 101 volume 1 basic is all you need to create a delicious food, available on Amazon and leading online bookstores worldwide. So Mr. Joshua, can you please invite our listeners to buy So Good They Call You Fake?
Sure thing. It's available on Audible, of course, the audiobook. For those of you who are in Canada, it's on Amazon.ca, and the States, Amazon.com, United Kingdom, of course, Amazon.co.uk, and the various other geographies where you can get the hardcover, the softcover, the ebook, and of course, again, the audiobook. And my best, most recent up-to-date shenanigans are over at the Twitter, now called X platform. I'm at Joshua Lisec. And then a little bit about my business shop is over at lisecghostwriting.com.
Yes, I hope there's a follow-up coming for this book.
Sure thing. I'm looking forward to that.
And one more question. What's one theme or message you hope readers will take away from your book?
Yes, what they will take away is a tangible sense of self confidence. So many people are afraid of promoting themselves or will come up with excuses to excuse themselves. Well, I'm not afraid of promoting myself. I just don't want to come off all salesy and scammy and promotionally. And that's because that's not nice. And I'm a nice person, so I'm not going to do that. It's a lie. Stop lying to yourself. The reason you're hiding is because you're afraid of what people will say. If you've reframed the experience of self promotion as I'm getting my useful message and helpful products in front of people who need them but don't know about them. And if there are haters, trolls, and skeptics and critics, they are going to market my products for me as unpaid affiliate marketers. Everybody wins. That is the correct mindset that you will get from So Good They Call You a Fake.
Yes, so Mr. Joshua, can you come back to my podcast and let's talk about the books that you read or the books that you did, and at the same time we're gonna promote all the books that you are making.
Sure thing.
Yes. And thank you, Listen Notes, for my latest score of 26 and belong to 10% popular show globally. Thank you, Listen Notes, and Feedspot. Thank you for being the number 7 best art book podcast. Need to be followed this 2023. Thank you so much. Bodycom people, see you soon.